Welcome to this Celsius talk, marking the official launch of the Celsius Forerunner Groups. We have a full agenda today. First, we will start by briefly introducing Celsius for those of you who are new to the initiative, and then give an overview of the Forerunner Groups, their purpose, and how we hope they will help cities in their energy transition. We will go on to the core of the subjects with our 3 pilot groups: getting started, waste heat recuperation, the decarbonization, and last but not least, and most importantly, a discussion. We want to know what you think, so we look forward to lively discussions with our experts. So help me bring a warm welcome to Katrina Folland, the coordinator of Celsius at Johanneberg Science Park.
Thank you, Emilia. Good morning, everyone. My name is Katrina Folland, and I'm the coordinator of the Celsius initiative at Johanneberg Science Park. This science park is partly owned by the city of Gothenburg. And before we started this phase of Celsius, I worked for the city of Gothenburg for many years. So my background is working with policies and programs in the field of climate and energy from a city hall perspective.
Great. Henrik Bristav, Senior Project Developer at the Research Institutes of Sweden.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Henrik Bristav, and I've been working at RISE now for 5 months. And before that, I was working with issues regarding district heating, district cooling, waste energy, and all other climate, environment, sustainability at energy company in north of Sweden for 21 years.
Wonderful. John O'Shea, Energy Systems Analyst at Codema, Dublin's energy agency.
Hey, good morning. My name is John O'Shea. I'm the Energy Systems Analyst with Codema, which is the energy agency for Dublin. I've been working in district heating for many years now, working on everything from heat master planning through to project design and delivery. So I've been working on developing projects across the UK and Ireland over the last few years. I'm also the lead author of the South Dublin Transition Roadmap, which is a kind of a step-by-step guide for developing district heating in South Dublin. And very happy to be involved in the project and share the experience I've gained over the last few years getting projects off the ground.
Thank you. Welcome, Pauline Lucas, Policy Officer at Heat and Power.
Good morning, Emilia. Good morning, everybody. I'm Pauline, and I've been with Heat and Power for a bit more than a year now. I do policy work, which means I represent the district heating and cooling sectors in Brussels towards the European institution and other stakeholders.
Wonderful. And Oksana, Project Communications Officer at Heat and Power as well.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Oksana Krasatenko, and within Heat and Power, I work for the DHC Plus technology platform, which is a unit leading European projects, and I'm happy to represent the Reuse Heat project today.
Wonderful. Looking forward to this, all these presentations and hopefully a great discussion. So let's get started. Katrina, can you please let us know a little bit more about the Celsius initiative and the Forerunner Groups?
Yes, hello. I'm trying to change slides here. Is it possible for me? Yes. Yeah, I took 2 at once. So let's get started. Some words about the former Celsius project. 2013 to 2017, City of Gothenburg with Gothenburg Energy ran the Smart Cities project on district heating and cooling. And that project was a demonstration project, and demonstrators were built in the 5 cities. London with the Islington Borough, Rotterdam, Cologne, Geneva, and Gothenburg. And we had a peer-to-peer approach in this project. We had a lot of discussions, and the many of the cities got a lot of good support from Gothenburg Energy, which system is a very mature system. I'm trying to press on more text here, but it's not working. Can I do something? There. Yep. So the project developed innovative solutions for district heating and cooling. And we saw a great interest from other cities to share our experiences. And we assembled a network with cities and supporters. And this network was the starting position for the continuation of Celsius. Yes, it was too good to let it go. So the city of Gothenburg, Euroheat and Power, Johannesburg Science Park, IMCG and RISE are now the 5 partners running Celsius Initiative, the second part of Celsius, which is not a demonstrator project, but a knowledge sharing project. And we have today 3 funders. It's DG Energy, European Commission, it's Climate Kick, and it's also the Swedish Energy Agency. I'm trying to click again. I don't know if it's slow or if it's you clicking, Emilia. Anyway, our purpose is to accelerate the energy transition in cities, and our main scope is deployment of smart and sustainable heating and cooling solutions. And the philosophy we have is don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Our experience is that there are many innovative solutions out there worth spreading. Celsius is technology neutral. We work from the demand of the cities towards any solution that is in line with the Paris Agreement. We have a toolbox gathering best practice and knowledge from projects, initiatives, and groups. Also public sector and what they are doing in this field. So our network is really crucial here, and it helps sharing all this knowledge. And what we aim to be is the hub of hubs, connecting all knowledge and good ideas and good solutions. And the core in this network is the Forerunner Groups. So I will give general information about them, but also stressing that the Forerunner Groups will be created in co-creation with the members. So nothing what I said is carved in stone. So please give us input. The purpose of the Forerunner Groups is to help cities reach as many decision points as possible and help the process in the cities through go, no-go decisions. Secondly, knowledge sharing from the demand and the needs of the cities. And as I said before, we want a dialogue, we want your input. From our network, we will bring relevant experts from industry, from research, other projects and other supportive organizations. We want to still have a peer-to-peer approach, and we will work with matchmaking. Cities meeting cities, cities meeting experts and industry, financiers, and so on. And now the Celsius Forerunner Groups. I think, as Emilia mentioned in the beginning, the first round of Forerunner cities are starting a system, waste heat recuperation, decarbonisation. And the fourth one is a Swedish, funded by the Swedish Energy Agency. It's called testbed integration, and it's about districts where the energy system can be innovated. And we want to do some benchmarking with this group, but I will not mention it anymore during this presentation. Today we are focusing on the 3 others funded by DG Energy. And the topics are thematic, as you can see, but we realize and know that each group will also focus on one or more of the cross-cutting issues. It's not only about technology. Technology is a small part. It's a lot of other things that will be on the agendas for these groups. We are in the starting phase, and more groups will be formed to better answer the needs expressed by the cities. Groups can be divided into 2 groups, subgroups, etc. We will see how it evolves. So what's in it for you? What's in it for a city? Why join this initiative? So depending on the needs in the group, you will get different support, but what I will give now is examples of the benefits. One is help with analysis of situation and process forward. Facilitated discussion with other cities in a similar situation. This peer-to-peer, we will connect you and also facilitate. You can be part of workshops with experts. And the starting position for this is the needs of your city. And one of our goals is to facilitate new projects, also from the needs. If you need special help, we will try to solve this for cities that are in a stalled process. Regarding procurement, we know that in the beginning of a procurement process for a project or for installation, it might be difficult to express what you really are looking for. And we believe we can help here. We believe we can help in early stages of the procurement process. And last but not least, your city will gain visibility both in Celsius communication channels, but also in our networks communications. And no, thank you. So what do we want from you? And the short answer is engagement. We want engagement regarding the sharing of experience, back up from the politicians, willingness to do your homework, and with homework I mean to get knowledge of your own city, of your own energy system. I know Henrik will give examples on this later on. And we also want you to be curious about what others have to say, and to help and support others. And we want you to join the meetings, and it's not written in this slide, but we are aiming at having monthly meetings. And as the situation now in the world, they will be a digital to start with. So the next steps for the Forerunner cities is focusing on the city's needs. The cities are 4 cities, city representatives, or 4 actors working on behalf of cities as city-owned companies and so forth, having a mission for the city. We think that maximum number of representatives or cities in each group will be 5 to 6. And one spearhead city will be selected in each group. And this city should give and share more, but will also get more. And how we select if a spearhead is permanent or rotating, it can be different in different groups, depending on cities and type of challenges. And we are aiming at having the first kickoff meetings in each group in April. Yeah, so that was all from me in this general presentation, and I would like to give the floor to Henrik, and he will give you a more detailed picture of what it's all about.
Okay, thank you, Katrina. I will talk about one of the Forerunner groups called Getting Started, how to start a district heating and cooling system. And this is just a couple of steps that we have identified that we see as important to take. And we don't claim to have a complete checklist. We think these bullet points are important to have in mind when you work further on. Now I'm trying to change the slide, but it's very slow. Yes. We would like to, yes, we know also that different cities have reached a different step in the development, and some of them are well on the way, while others are still on the starting line, but with big ambitions. And we like the cities to help each other, to learn from each other. You are the real expert, and putting you together will make Celsius fly. Share success and share mistakes and learn from them and learn from each other. And before you put pipes on the ground, that's the easy part. There are some hard homework that you need to be done before. And this is some of the points. Make sure to have a strong consensus at the city's top management. Convince policymakers and local politicians of the necessity to start the work with putting forward a policy for carbon-free heating and cooling in the city. You need the commitment from the top management in the cities. Heating analysis and heat mapping, spatial energy demand over the city, and mapping waste heat sources. This will serve as a background for city planning and energy planning. You need to do your homework. You need to have hard facts to support your upcoming decisions. You have to engage city planning to consider the energy pattern in the city in the future, and planning and in the planning process to increase the possibility to provide thermal energy, heating and cooling. And you also perhaps start some sort of energy planning for the city. To start the process to involve the city planning, with a good and thoughtful energy planning, the deployment of district heating and cooling will be facilitated. Explore the possibility to utilize waste heat sources to use as a core for a smaller district heating network. Start somewhere. This can very well be the outcome from the heating analysis in the bullet number 2 in this slide. And you also have to investigate the energy feedstock available and possible for heat and perhaps power production. Looking at the long-term heat supply and production, what kind of renewable feedstocks are there as available for use? Next slide. Some of the actions you need to take for starting. You need to have tools for innovation and decision making, to developing low carbon heating and cooling system for the city. You will need to create some kind of master plan for heating and cooling. You could, and for that, you can use tool for innovation and a decision process that will end up in some sort of proposal for decisions. You need to identify the stakeholders and citizen engagement is important. This is a very important step. Try to identify the stakeholder and involve them in an early stage. Initiate pre-feasibility and feasibility studies. Find competent and experienced partners who can help you with this. And we have the demand side action. Demand side is very important in all the work with building up a heating and cooling system. Refurbish old building to improve energy performance. This is highly relevant for all Forerunner groups. Start a refurbishing program for the public buildings and incentive for the private property owners to refurbish and work with energy performance on their buildings. On the supply side, you need to analyze the different renewable energy supply sources. The target is to switch to renewables, and depending on what kind of surrounding you have and what kind of energy feedstock that is available. And then, of course, financing. This is a crucial part for most projects, and here can Celsius be of assistance to find financing opportunities for district heating and cooling. One city that has come a long way and done their homework very well is the city of Dublin. And I'm now going to leave the floor to John O'Shea from Codema, who will tell us more about their progress.
Thanks very much. My name is John O'Shea. I'm Energy Systems Analyst with Codema, as I mentioned previously. And I've been working in district heating for a few years on everything from heat master planning through to design and delivery. And as I said, very happy to be sharing that experience through this project. Here we go. First and foremost, who are Codema? So we're the energy advisors for the 4 Dublin municipalities. We were founded in 1997 as a non-for-profit organisation with the objective of leading the energy transition in Dublin. So why heat, and specifically why district heating? Well, in Ireland, heat demand represents approximately 40% of overall energy demand. And it's currently the worst performing sector when it comes to reaching our renewable targets. It just represents 6.5% of the market at the moment. And I suppose we're why district heating then? I guess district heating is a proven cost-effective method for increasing the proportion of renewable heat and decarbonising our heating sector. This has kind of been the evidence of this, I guess, of district heating being recognised as a cost-effective heating solution in the EU, and I guess focusing on Ireland here. In the last year, we've secured approximately 25 million in grant funding from the Department of Climate Action here in Ireland. A policy framework has been developed, and Codema have been involved in that, providing support to the department as part of the steering group. And also, district heating is also seen as a key enabling infrastructure to utilise our low enthalpy geothermal resource here in Ireland. So district heating then, it's more than just a heating solution. So obviously it has the benefit of providing low cost, low carbon heat, but also a method for utilising waste heat, which currently has no value. It also, has other benefits such as reducing dependency on imported fossil fuels. It's also a very cost-effective method of storing energy. It's approximately 3% of the cost of battery electricity storage. So it can be used for grid balancing and increasing the renewable energy proportion of the electricity grid. So our vision then, I guess, for Dublin is an integrated energy system, which integrates the heat, electricity and transport sectors. And as regards the heat, I suppose we've done some work mapping the heat demand, but here also the heat sources. And where are we going to start with this? Well, we started here with these 2 projects. The first one is the Dublin District Heating Scheme, which is being developed by Dublin City Council, which utilises waste heat from the Dublin Waste to Energy Plant. And the second one then is the Tala District Heating Scheme, which is being developed by South Dublin County Council, which utilises waste heat from a data centre. And this was the pilot project from the Interreg HeatNet Northwest Europe project, for which Codema were the lead partner. And that project was to promote district heating across 6 countries in Northwest Europe. So then in terms of the areas in which we provide support, I guess, you know, we've kind of performed a lot of roles in rolling out these projects. So, you know, we've written kind of best practice guidance and developed templates and provided technical support in these areas. So in planning and policy, we've been involved in the energy master planning. We've developed roadmaps for municipalities, you know, a kind of pathway towards getting pipes in the ground. We've also engaged with planners in developing planning policy to kind of promote district heating in their regions. We've worked in business case development, so performing techno-economic analysis, you know, and as part of that then sort of early design optimization. We've also looked at business model options, so kind of that getting that balance of, you know, risk versus control of the project. And then in stakeholder engagement as well, so working on identifying and understanding stakeholder drivers. And then also like communication strategies, so depending on the stakeholder drivers, kind of tailoring your communication to best suit the stakeholder so they're getting the right information. We've also worked on the procurement and contracting, so working in areas such as procurement strategy, evaluation of bids through procurement, kind of being the kind of technical advisors on the contract side, so working with external legal experts to develop heat supply contracts. And we've also been working in project delivery and capacity building, so basically acting as the technical support for getting pipes in the ground, and also working on developing workshops with planners to kind of help them upskill in the area of energy planning. And then also, you know, kind of on an ad hoc basis, you know, presenting to third level institutions, and also creating guidance documents to kind of support the council's work in developing district heating. So yeah, I guess that's all from me. We're always happy to give advice on to those interested in developing low carbon heating infrastructure. So feel free to get in touch if you have any questions after the presentation. If you don't think of anything in the Q&A session. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Jan. Very interesting indeed. We're going on here, and I'm going to talk about waste heat recuperation and the waste heat recuperation group. And waste heat can be defined as unwanted heat load as a result from a process or activity that demands a lot of energy. This often low quality energy is no use for the process activity, so it's ventilated out to the ambient air or cooled in a nearby water body. This can be recovered and used for heating purpose directly or upgraded with a heat pump. This is a difficult area because there are almost no standardization or general methods that we can use. Almost every heat source is unique, and the owner of the activity that generates waste heat seldom design the cooling system for future recovery purpose. I believe my friends at Heat and Power are going to tell you more about this later. This is something that you have to do for use waste heat. You have to start with identification and classification of the waste heat sources. And this could be industry, data centers, tertiary buildings, subways, wastewater treatment plants, and other unconventional heat sources. This is preferably done in a spatial energy mapping, which I spoke about in the presentation of getting started. You also have to do a quantification of the heat sources. You need to know how much energy you can recover, and this can be tricky since the owner of the heat source can be reluctant to share this kind of information. They have to have correlation with the heat demand. Do the waste heat amount correlate to the needs and surrounding the source? How is the distances, the temperature? That's a lot of questions that have to be answered. You have to involve the owner of the heat source and other stakeholders. This is important to do this in an early stage. You need to catch the owner's interest. Use of heat pumps, increase the use of electric power. What's the climate impact? Do the waste heat need to be upgraded? Perhaps you use heat pump. If heat pumps are used, so be aware of the climate impact of the increased use of electric power. Always have the ambition to add similar amount of renewable power into the system if the use of the electric power is increased. Some of the action that you need to take is this. Identify the most promising waste heat sources, temporal, spatial, and quality factors included. Increase awareness and knowledge about waste heat recovery. This is important, not least to understand the potential of heat recovery. The business models between the district heating operator and the owner of the waste heat source. The details of the business proposal and responsibility issues is tough to handle. Learn from others and find good examples. And you also have this, the security of supply. The waste heat owner has other core business to attend to, and a production stop could lead to consequences for the heat customers. You probably need redundancy, but how? So I leave the floor to Pauline and Oksana from Euroheat and Power, who will tell you more about some case studies and waste heat recovery.
Thank you, Henrik. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I'm Pauline, and as I mentioned, I work for Euroheat and Power. So we are carrying out advocacy activities to promote energy efficiency, renewable energy sources integration, sector integration in European policy. And Euroheat and Power is also participating in research and innovation activities and EU projects, but this will be for my colleague Oksana. But most interesting for today and for the purpose of the Forerunner Groups is EHP activities to promote waste heat recovery and raise awareness on waste heat. So it has become even more important to be able to support waste heat recovery in the framework of the energy transition, and even more considering the Green Deal and the new higher ambition with regard to climate and energy targets and the net zero CO2 emission ambition of the European Union. So within Euroheat and Power, we have reconvened a task force of experts internally. And what we want to do in this framework is to exchange on the implementation of the Renewable Energy Directive, for instance, which now allows for member states to account waste heat towards the heating and cooling decarbonization targets. So we have around 10 experts from our member organizations that are specialized in regulatory and technical issues, and we're exchanging best practices. What we have done and what we would like to do even more is to have basically to advise CTs and answer CTs questions with regard to waste heat recovery. A second very important activity that we are leading is the Urban Agenda Energy Transition Partnership, which on and especially the Action 2, which is on maximizing waste heat recovery for cities. So the Urban Agenda Energy Transition Partnership is a stakeholder-driven initiative that is overseen by the European Commission DG Regio. And the objective of the Action 2 that Puritan Power is leading is to draft a recommendation paper to advise on what would be the ways to maximize waste heat recovery. And for this, we have drafted a discussion paper in order to identify the challenges and the best practices. And we have put in place a review process of this discussion paper through expert review and workshops. So we already had a first workshop early March and started to review the paper and especially what are the challenges to waste heat recovery. So through multi-stakeholder dialogues, not only DHC operators, but also waste heat owners, academia, and of course cities, we would like to identify the challenges, but most importantly, to make the best practices and solutions emerge, and then recommend policymakers at all levels of government, so EU, but also national, regional, and local, to really give recommendation on what to make this waste heat recovery happen. So yeah, what we have to offer is an access to our network of contacts, obviously from the industry, so our member organizations, but also EU, national, regional, local policymakers, academia. We have above 100 members, so we really have this network to support the Forerunner Group. And our expertise, so we have a pool of technical and regulatory experts that are ready to answer questions and support cities to maximize waste heat recovery. So I'm looking forward to be able to help the cities with our EHP experts and to continue the dialogue that we have started on waste heat recovery. And yes, I would like now to hand over to my colleague Oksana.
Thank you, Pauline. Hello, everybody again. My name is Oksana Krasatenko, and I've been working for Euroheat and Power for 7 years, mainly involved in European research and innovation projects. And I would say that my field of expertise is communications and dissemination. It's very flattering to be presented as an expert here in this webinar, but actually I'm only a bridge to the pool of experts. In this case, I would like to present you a very relevant project, Reuse Heat. It's a Horizon 2020 project with 16 partners coordinated by IVL, Swedish Environmental Research Institute. We kicked off our activities in October 2017, and it's a 4 years project, so we will be operating at least until October 2021. Reuse Heat goal is to overcome technical and non-technical barriers to unlocking urban waste heat recovery. I would like to point out that we are focusing on urban waste heat sources, not industrial or not waste to energy, for example. And we concentrate on legal, economic, social barriers to investments. We have performed a stakeholder analysis in this area. We have quite a lot of reports about business models and contracts. Reuse Heat implements 4 large-scale demonstrators and would like to show technical feasibility and economic viability of such projects. We have one demonstrator in Brunswick, which is a data center. This demonstration site recently won the Global District Energy Climate Awards in the category New Scheme, basically meaning that the innovation of the idea has been recognized at the international level. We have a demo site in Nice, which is actually a dashboard showing the share of waste heat from the sewage collectors used within the district heating system of Nice. One demo site in Madrid, which will be the waste heat recovery from the cooling system of a hospital, and one in Berlin, choosing a metro station as a waste heat source. What we can bring to the Celsius Forerunner Group on waste heat is, first of all, a cross-cutting support on sustainable business models. We can provide access to the information on bankability, efficient contractual forms, risks, suitable ownership and funding models for the waste heat recovery projects. We can obviously bring to this group our knowledge and expertise obtained from the implementation of the pilot sites, when we have more data on operations and specific risks. And we would be happy to collaborate with Celsius Forerunner Groups in raising awareness about urban waste heat recovery potential. Reuse Heat has already developed a database on accessible urban waste heat sources, and we'll also enrich this database with some information on food production and retail, so waste heat from food production and retail, which is expected in June. And obviously, we would like to raise awareness about the feasibility of this kind of projects. So we will share also monitoring and evaluation of the Reuse Heat demo sites. We would like to obviously facilitate the creation of more pilots to validate this technology. Reuse Heat has already engaged Oslo, Genoa, and Ostersund in Denmark, if my pronunciation is correct, to look at the replication of the waste heat recovery projects using their ICE arena and hospital and data center. The other two replicators, Poznan and London, are in gray color because it's not 100% confirmed, but we are looking at replicating waste heat recovery from sewage plant and from other metro stations than the one which is very famous in Islington. We will be happy to organize joint webinars and events, as we've been doing already for a while, and provide our support and our experts' knowledge to the Celsius Forerunner cities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Oksana. So this is Henrik again, and I'm going to talk about the last group who will be working with decarbonization. Next slide. I'm trying to change the next slide. Yes, here we are. I think this is a very good picture. This shows the share of renewable energy used for heating and cooling in 2018. And this shows the magnitude of the challenge we have before us. The European EU energy and climate targets are set to be 32% renewable energy or above that to 2030. So there is a lot of work to do. And I think the decarbonization is an overall goal for Celsius as a whole to meet the targets set by the European Union for the cities in Europe. This group may include both cities who as well established district heating and cooling systems, and cities who is in the startup phase, so district heating and cooling. I think that's my strong belief is that have to have a good grasp of the city's present situation. So the first point here, what you need to do is thoroughly inventory all greenhouse gas emission with emphasis on carbon dioxide. So identify the biggest emitters of carbon dioxide and establish a baseline. Depending on your ambition, you can include all sectors in this inventory. For example, transport. I think that's a good thing to do, because that puts the heating and cooling sector in a perspective compared to other sectors. And I think that every sectors are connected and interlinked in some way. So I think it's a big advantage to do that. And next up, you have to decide a ladder reduction with emission targets. For heating and cooling, you need to involve stakeholders and citizens. And you have to have the commitment from the city's top management. This is not easy, but it's necessary. Many cities have come a long way here and we can learn from each other. Then create a roadmap with long-term commitment. And as I said, learn from other cities, be innovative. And some of the actions that you need to take, I think this plan you can make up to yourself, but one thing is simple: identify the large emitters. That shouldn't be too hard. Identify the low-hanging fruits, if you have any. You usually do. And set up a timeline for reduction. Start with some of the low-hanging fruits and celebrate success. Don't underestimate the importance of celebrating success. I think this sends a positive signal and gives the opportunity to address the issue in a positive context. And then start to tackle the more challenging emitters as baseload production, the use of natural gas for heating, etc. Well, this is a real challenge, but it's has to be done, and learn from others. Energy performance analysis of public buildings, start energy saving actions. This is almost also a cross-cutting issue for all the groups. And it's equally important to work with the supply, with the demand side. Much to be gained. And refurbish and energy saving in public building, influence private property owners, refurbish and make energy saving improvements. It's that I had in the first almost every group. I think that's a common theme. And that's all for now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Henrik, and all the fantastic speakers. So now we have about 10 minutes left for the discussion and answering questions. I see there's one question that was written by Warren O'Neill here, and I will ask John to address that question. And while the rest of our participants think of questions they may want to ask to any of these our experts, I will invite our experts to turn on your cameras so we can see you. Great. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Katrina and Pauline and John, how are those cameras doing?
Yeah, seems to be working.
Great. So thank you for being here. John, there's a question here for you. What data is available from the Codema project? And I'm guessing you're going to ask which of the two projects. So which data do you have available?
Yeah, so I guess probably the best place to start, if you're looking for information, would be the Codema website, which is www.codema.ie. So on that we have a projects page which goes through the projects we've been involved in, and we also have a publications page if you're interested in reading up on the transition roadmap. There's also some kind of short guides on district heating for public sector and for developers as well. There's also the HeatNet project has a website. I think it's nweurope.eu. It's under the project page there. And of course, obviously, you can email ourselves. We're happy to respond to any queries on any of the projects.
Wonderful, thank you. As we wait for more questions, right now, so this was talking about information, and of course, information is very important, building on what all the research projects, all the developments that are available out there. It's important that cities know how to share. So I'm looking at the Reuse Heat project. You're doing groundbreaking work in terms of analysis, not only technical, but also a lot of economic. What are you going to do with all that information once the project is done? So
well, the main, yeah, obviously this information will not be lost. The main outcome of the Reuse Heat project will be a handbook, which we are currently working on. This handbook will centralize all the information, all the results we have achieved so far. It will focus on the stakeholder engagement, on the business models, on contracts, on risk assessments for this kind of projects, with the goal to give cities a manual on how to implement urban waste heat recovery projects. This handbook will be widely disseminated at the European level, so we will invite you, obviously, Celsius and all the cities participating in the Forerunner Groups to join our events and to have a hard copy of this handbook.
Thank you. So another important part of the Forerunner Groups is this peer-to-peer approach. John, what do you see the benefits of being a spearhead city and participating in these groups in terms of being able to meet and talk to other cities?
Yeah, well, I guess for us, the whole kind of peer-to-peer learning has been massive because we're just getting started. So there's many countries across Europe who are much further advanced than we are in terms of developing a district heating market. So just having the opportunity to talk to others about how their particular region deals with, you know, certain, you know, maybe EU policies or, you know, certain challenges to do with, you know, heat contracting or planning, or and yeah, really kind of adopting where we can what's worked well elsewhere has been really beneficial for us.
Thank you. And this is a kind of reminder to all our listeners, please you do have a Q&A function at the bottom on your main screen, so please feel free to ask our experts questions. As we wait for more questions, Katrina, building on this answer, the importance of peer-to-peer, from Celsius perspective, and you have been with Celsius for almost or over 10 years now, why are cities so important in this implementation, and what's the strategy to get these cities involved and really address their needs and better understand their needs?
Cities are important because heating and cooling is part of the whole energy system, and the energy system is part of city planning, city strategies, the citizens' behaviors, and it's a core part of what the city are doing. So you cannot work with this outside or not linked to other strategies within the cities. And as we all know, more and more people will move to cities in the future. You also had another question which I've forgotten. Or?
Yes, that was, and how, what will be the strategy to better understand the city's needs in order to properly address them?
It is to address them and to talk to them and to encourage cities to share their experiences. And also, I think we learned from the Celsius project that peer-to-peer was very successful, and also good to hear you, John, saying the same.
Great, thank you. And yeah, so if I understand correctly, it's the dialogue, just getting the dialogue going and building on that and helping understand. I have two new questions, which is fantastic, 2 new questions. So Corrado from the University of Genoa, old Celsius partner and a good friend, dear friend to Celsius, he says UNIGA is working on energy recovery from liquid natural gas regasification imports for ships bunkering in form of coal. Is it possible to save coal too? So I'm guessing, I'm interpreting this as waste coal recuperation. He's wondering if it's better to extend the title of the thematic group to waste heat or coal recovery. I will let either Henrik or Katrina answer that question.
Yes, you can store cool water in accumulators. That's been done now. So I don't know how this is gonna happen, but is it possible to store cool? Yes.
And I think that a better answer to both Corrado and Jackie's question. Jackie Collin from Strasbourg, also one of our member cities, she's asking, based on the interviews, have you already chosen which cities should be in which group, and will you have an application process? So it's up to the cities to choose the group that they're most interested in, and as Katrina said earlier, you can pick more than one group, and this is a co-creation process. So my answer to Corrado is join the group. We'll see, maybe we'll create a new group for cool recovery or a cooling group. So everything is possible. Right now we're focusing on basics and building from there, establishing a strong ground. So for Jackie's question, how should you choose which group? You can sign up. I will send a follow-up email with a link where cities can register to the different groups and the Kickstart meetings. I have another question here from Inge from Utrecht. What is the experience of Celsius with the different market models in the different countries? Some cities own the district heating company, and other countries, a private company owns the district heating company. And I would even add that in some countries you have the city owns it, but it's operated by a private actor. Do any of these experts like to answer this question? I'm looking maybe at Henrik or our experts from Heat Power.
Yes, I can take this one. Yes, of course. Well, Celsius experts via Your Heat and Power has expertise on the different governance and market organization. We have, I said, over 100 members, and our main members and participating also in our waste heat recovery group are national associations that know inside out their own markets and the different landscapes and possibilities that you have with organizing the district heating and cooling markets. So we have this, and we can provide like on the different models.
I guess from our perspective, what we see is that if you are developing district heating, the kind of public organizations will always be key stakeholders. So and a lot of kind of this kind of reading we've done around what's been done in other countries would suggest that a lot of the successful schemes are publicly led. I guess it's also good to have local councils involved. I mean, they have kind of the societal benefits kind of at their core, and they can kind of use their certain departments, like roads, to kind of help get those pipes in the ground, so they kind of have a lot of control of the local roads, and also they can avail of low interest rates when it comes to loans to pay for the upfront capital cost, and they're also large building owners in a lot of cities, so they can provide kind of those anchor loads that can help get a project off the ground, and the heating kind of itself tends to be more of a local issue, so having I guess an organization whose focus is on the local area can help with that, you know, in terms of knowing what the local heat sources are, what the plans are for the future in terms of zoning for residential or employment lands, and you know, having the experience, you know, dealing with things like environmental impacts and all that. So they've a lot of knowledge that's very, very useful in developing district heating projects.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we'll read two more questions, and I'll invite you all to follow this discussion on our LinkedIn group. I'll give a little bit more information about that after the discussion. One of the questions that has come up is how to manage to get all the information about heat use and heat supply from the companies and others in the city. Are they willing to share this? What has been your experience? I'm thinking this is a question that's either relevant for John or for Oksana.
Yeah, in terms of heat demands, I guess we'd have the information on you know, things like gas demand for public buildings. When it comes to private buildings, it's kind of a question of engaging with the building itself and how much information they have or are willing to share. Also, we do a lot of modeling of heat demands based on you know, sort of thermodynamic modeling of building structures and stuff like that to kind of estimate these demands. And then in terms of sources, one of the sources, say, for industrial waste heat for us would be the environmental agency. So particularly for the large energy producers and large industrial sites, they have to produce data on, you know, what's coming out of their flues. You know, if you're looking at capturing the heat from flue gas, or if they have you know, processed water going to drain at the moment, which could be utilized as a heat source as well. So yeah, that's just a few examples.
I could maybe add at the European level. Can you hear me?
Yes, but if you could keep it short, we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Of course. I will just invite you to have a look at the Pan-European Thermal Atlas. This is one of the major projects which has been developed by several projects where you can find publicly available and also processed information about heat demands and urban waste heat sources, which is updated by Halmstad University in Sweden.
Wonderful. One last quick question, and I ask a quick answer, is the reused heat recovery decision process is aligned and linked competitiveness and sustainability in comparison to standalone solutions. Is there some lobbying to foster fair support of schemes? Do you have a quick answer to that one, including insurance schemes during operations?
Reuse heat doesn't do lobbying. EuroHeat and Power does, so I redirect this question to Pauline.
Yeah, we have identified the risk insurance as a challenge, and we are working on this. There is no quick answer, unfortunately. We're working on this within the discussion paper that we are preparing, and yeah, this can also be shared with the attendants. To start answering this question.
Thank you. I will now go back to to our main presentation. So thank you all for being here, to the speakers. Join us, follow us on Twitter, Celsius City, and from there you'll find the links to the speakers, and particularly the questions we can further develop on the LinkedIn group. So follow this line, and any information you'd like, and to sign up for the kickoff meeting, either answer the follow-up email I will send you, or send us an email, celsius@johannabergsciencepark.com. There's no for the moment, we don't have a limit on the size of the cities. Of course, bigger cities have bigger impacts, but oftentimes smaller cities also are quicker to act. So don't limit yourself by the size of the city. Join us and let's get the ball rolling. Let's get the discussion started. So thank you once again very much to all the speakers, to our experts here, and to all of you for your patience and listening. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay.